Last night, around midnight, a Wichita police officer was in the 2800 block of West Pawnee completing some paperwork in his patrol vehicle when he observed an individual looking around the corner of a building at him. The officer exited his patrol vehicle and was getting a hold of dispatch when the individual popped back around the corner a second time with what he believed was a rifle or a shotgun. The officer said that the individual raised a shotgun or rifle in his direction. As the officer was out of the vehicle, he retreated to the back of his patrol car, and as the rifle or shotgun was pointed at him, he fired his duty weapon several times, striking a couple buildings in the area. The officer then attempted to locate the suspect. However, he could not find him at the time. Several additional officers were sent to the area, and the suspect was not located. We do not believe the suspect was injured, nor was the officer. The officer is a 9-year veteran of the Wichita Police Department.
What time was this yesterday?
It was, actual time was 23:54, so a little bit before midnight.
How far away was this man to the officer sitting in his patrol car?
You know, I'd probably say 30 to 40 yards, somewhere in there.
Was he behind him, in front of him?
The officer was parked in a little alcove, little area back there completing his paperwork. And the individual, when he peeked around the corner of the building, was directly kind of in front of him, kind of at an angle.
Is this a parking lot for a business or something?
Yeah, there's a couple businesses down there. I don't know if I mentioned it, but it's 2800 West Pawnee.
Is that the actual address?
2814.
How was the lighting was in that area?
There was lighting by the building, and in the area where the officer was, there was not much lighting, so it kind of hampered his ability to see the individual very well.
So he thought this guy was suspicious in the way that he peered around the corner initially, is that correct?
Yeah, when the individual first looked around the corner of the building, the officer looked up, saw the individual, was suspicious, was getting out of his patrol car, contacting 911 to have some additional officers come down to help him check this individual. As he was getting out of the patrol car, as he was getting out, the individual had ducked back behind the wall and then came back around the building with the rifle or long rifle raised up towards him, towards the officer, and that's when he fired his duty weapon in the direction of that individual.
So all this happening in a matter of seconds?
Yes, yes.
Still looking for this guy, or where do you go from here on this?
Yeah, I mean, we are. We're still. We don't have a great description on this individual. Like I said, the lighting wasn't that great. So, if anybody was in the area, of course, we conducted a neighborhood and knocked on some doors last night. But if anybody was in the area of 2800 West Pawnee around midnight and saw or heard anything, we'd ask them to call our homicide section so we could at least talk to them.
You may have covered this, but did the officers find any spent shell casings supposedly fired by the...
We don't believe the suspect fired his weapon at the officer.
You may have said this too, but how many shots did the officer fire?
I don't want to release that right now because we don't have anybody in custody, so we're going to hold on to that for the time
But it's
being.
multiple shots?
It's multiple shots.
Were the buildings that were hit by gunfire businesses?
Yes, they were. Business. I think there was 2 or 3 separate businesses in that area. 2 specific ones that got struck.
Can you say which ones?
I don't have their names.
Addresses?
2814 West Pawnee.
Both on the same side of the street?
Yeah. It's on the south side of the street, the address.
The officer was alone, he didn't have a partner or anything?
He was alone.
How long has he been with the force?
9 years. And as we do in these typical situations, he'll be going through a stress debriefing evaluation.
Is he still on duty, or will he be on leave? Or?
Well, he's on leave, but he's on duty. I mean, he won't be working the streets for a couple days till he goes through this process.
Administrative.
Yes.
You probably covered this, but I assume he saw the rifle pointed at him and then...
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I started a little early, and that's my fault.
I didn't realize it had been moved to the floor. Nobody emailed.
He was doing some paperwork at the time, observed an individual looking around the corner of the building at him, was suspicious, was out of his vehicle, getting a hold of 911 to have some additional officers come down. When the individual peeked around the corner a second time, raised the long gun, a rifle or a shotgun as he described it, in his direction at him. And that's when he discharged his duty weapon.
And he's positive it was a rifle since it was so dark.
It's a long gun, so it was a rifle or a shotgun.
But he
Yeah.
knows for a fact he had some kind of a weapon.
Yes.
He was convinced he had weapons.
Sure.
Brent, did you say 30 or 40 feet or 30 or 40 yards?
I'd say yards.
Okay. And so that was when he initially saw the guy, and you said he had just gotten out of the car, so it's still about 30 or 40 yards between he and the guy when he was firing on him.
Yeah, if you can, I mean, it's corner of a building, and the guy peeked around the corner, just basically his upper body initially, and then went back behind the building. The officer was out of his vehicle at this time, and when the individual came around, peeked around the corner at the same location the second time, that's when he saw the gun or long rifle being raised and pointed in his direction, and he retreated to the back of his patrol car and then fired his duty weapon.
Was there any suspicious vehicle that was parked in the area that might have been there afterwards?
You know, there was several officers that, of course, in a situation like this, went down to the area and they cordoned off a large location down there. But it's nighttime, and we're trained not to go specifically at the location. He took his safety precautions to come around to check the corner of the building to make sure the guy wasn't there. So there's some time that's evolved through this process of even checking for this guy or this individual. And when the officer got over there, he didn't see anybody. So we're not sure if the individual got in a vehicle, ran into a house, got in a car. We're just not really sure at this time. And there's not a lot to go on at this time.
And any basic description of this individual, male, female?
Very limited,
okay.
yeah, nothing.
But it was a man, correct?
We're not even sure of that. He believed it was a male based on just a limited information. He believed it was a male.
I heard some scanner traffic suggesting that they were looking for a particular individual in connection with this.
We did. They did look for a couple individuals. It was just based on past contact with the officer, and that. And we did talk to. I believe maybe one individual. We don't believe that individual is a suspect at this time.
Brent, the officer's response to open fire, will that be a part of the investigation as well as to determine if the officer did the correct thing and followed
Sure.
proper procedures?
Yeah, sure. We look at the totality of the thing to make sure it was proper and all that. So we'll take a look at that too. Right now, the criminal investigation is still going on, and like I said, if anybody has any information that was in the area around midnight that heard or saw anything, we just ask that they call to help piece this together for us. So.